in the, let's say, the last 3 seasons of Kobe's career to what it's going to be this season and the next 2, I guarantee you they will win more games now. The Lakers did something smart. What they did, Stephen A., is they had an aging superstar who was coming off a catastrophic injury in Kobe Bryant and couldn't play anymore, really. I mean, a game here and there, but otherwise. And all the fans wanted to see him, and he needed the ball. So what they did is they hired Byron Scott, unfortunately for Byron, basically to be a babysitter for Kobe. And they let Kobe play out the string and shoot as much as he wanted and do whatever he wanted. Legendary superstar, and the Yankees did the baseball version with Derek Jeter. It happens from time to time. But the upside was they got to draft really high. Even though they had traded a pick that was only top 5 protected and top 3 protected, they got to draft Brandon Ingram, D'Angelo Russell, to go with Julius Randle. They stole Jordan Clarkson in the 2nd round, and they got a really good nucleus. They took D'Angelo Russell when people like you were calling for them to take Okafor. In a league where the back-to-the-basket post guy who can't close out on the three-point shooter, switch on defense and everything, doesn't have nearly the value he used to have. They took a guy in D'Angelo Russell, while he's limited in certain ways athletically, supposedly, even though he has a 39-inch vertical. This guy his passing in the pick and roll as a rookie was already better than the majority of veteran point guards, which is a skill you really need in this NBA. He shoots the 3 well off the bat and will only get better. They took a really, really good point guard for this modern NBA system and have surrounded him with elite draft talent. That was the result of signing Kobe to that contract. So they won on all fronts. They gave the fans what they want. They gave Kobe what they want. They let him exit the way he wanted. Then, when that era's over, they bring in the coach they actually want in Luke Walton. And they're now going to run a modern NBA system with the pieces they need to run it. The future's bright for the Lakers.
Well, first of all, I think you're giving them too much credit because a lot of it was by accident, and I don't even have time to go into the accident that the Lakers have been over recent memory. But I have, and I will on national TV, make a declaration. Out of respect for the great Jerry West, out of respect for a lot of people that I know that are diehard Laker followers. They're my friends, some within the organization, some outside the organization. I've turned over a new leaf.
Really?
I'm not going to excoriate and vilify Jim Buss on a regular basis, regardless of the respect I don't have for him, regardless of the job I think he has done on too many occasions. Remember, Max Kellerman, when I've gotten on Jim Buss, unlike critics who have questioned his basketball acumen, I have never questioned that. I've never said Jim Buss doesn't know what he's doing. What I've said is that, and what I've excoriated him for, was allowing his emotions to get in the way of his basketball judgment. Because you're concerned with who your sister's dating, because you can't stand the coach, because you think or knew your father didn't like somebody, or whatever the case may be, you made decisions that got in the way of this organization moving progressively forward. That was my issue with him, not his basketball acumen or supposed lack thereof. No, it was letting his emotions get in the way of his judgment. But I have promised people that I love dearly that I'm going to be nicer to Jim Buss. So
that's
here
news. Used to come on my radio show every couple of weeks.
Right. It's big news.
I like the new you, Stephen A.
Big news. I'm going to be nice to Jim Buss from now on. Having said that, let me say this. When we look at the Los Angeles Lakers, I'm not going to get excited because they played the Houston Rockets. Mike D'Antoni, here we go again, former Laker coach, who was brought in by Jim Buss, who backdoored Phil Jackson in the middle of the night and brought Mike D'Antoni in. Again, I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to go there. What I will say to you is this. This same guy, in terms of looking at the Houston Rockets, what happened here, Max Kellerman? You gave up 120 points. Your first game as coach of the Houston Rockets, you surrender 120 points. Let me read out some of these names. And I mean no disrespect, because I'm fond of all of these kids and I think they have promise. But can you tell me whether it's Jordan Clarkson, who came off the bench, by the way, and I think that's a brilliant move by Luke Walton to bring him off the bench. He dropped 25 last night. Lou Williams, who can play. We know these guys can play.
Nice contract they signed Lou Williams to, too. Not except $7 million a year.
Not bad, not bad.
Clarkson in the second round.
But listen to this. Julius Randle, D'Angelo Russell, Luau Deng, Swaggy P, and Timothy Mozgov is your starting 5, and you give up 120 points? 120. See,
sounds about right for that unit right now.
This is why.
Against the fast pace. D'Antoni's team played a fast pace?
Yes, they do play a fast pace, but I'm telling you, because I like him as a person. D'Antoni's a good man, and he's really, really smart.
Mike Antoni.
Mike
Antoni, no D.
Listen, listen, I'm telling you, NBA coaches all over the league have been lamenting for years
I want to get into the Lakers for a second.
Defense.
I want to get into the Lakers. I want to get into the Lakers.
That's where I'm at with this, Max.
I have a lot of respect for the late great Dr. Jerry Buss.
Yes.
I think he's the greatest owner in the history of American team sports. I don't think it's close. When he took over the Lakers, the Celtics were by far the greatest franchise in history. They had 13 championships. Lakers were second with 6.
I'm partial to the late George Steinbrenner, but go ahead.
By the way, I'm the biggest Yankee fan in the world. The answer is Dr. Buss. Dr. Jerry Buss, by the time he passed, the Lakers had the second most championships in history by 1. They basically have caught the Celtics, and they're killing them, trouncing them, destroying them and every other franchise in the modern era with 10. Post-shot clock, merger, whatever you want to define the modern era as, the Lakers have absolutely owned it. And the last thing that Dr. Buss did, I think almost as a legacy move, was he left a structure in place for the team where Jim Buss was going to be the head of basketball, and Jeannie Buss really the team boss. She's the one who shows up at the owner meetings. She's the head of business. And I think he did that for a reason. I think he wanted to make sure, I have a lot of admiration for the family, that he wanted to keep the family together, that he wanted to make sure the children had to work together in order for the Lakers franchise to have success. Didn't happen at first. When they pulled off that Chris Paul heist, which was a heist that Jim Buss and Mitch Kupchak deserve amazing credit for, Jeannie Buss was at the owners' meeting. She could gauge that these owners were not happy with the way things were going, and the lack of communication between her and Jim resulted in effect, that trade was rescinded. The lack of communication between the siblings. And I believe over time, now that Kobe's gone, now that that's not an issue anymore, the communication will get better. And as that happens, the Lakers will also get better.
But
I think the future
hold
is
on.
bright.
I let you go. You can believe what you want. I'm giving you facts in terms of what happened. You just dropped a lot of facts, and I appreciate that. But let's understand the context in which it was given. You knew that the league was were the de facto owners of the New Orleans Hornets at the time. So the chances of the Chris Paul trade going through was slim to none because Dan Gilbert, fresh off LeBron exiting from Miami, and the maelstrom of cynicism and beyond that ultimately that was going to provoke, that wasn't the time. What I mean by that is this. When you acquire Chris Paul, you don't acquire Chris Paul and save $20 million in cap space. Go back and read Dan Gilbert's letter to the league.
You're arguing they made too good a deal.
No.
That Jim made too good a deal.
Let me tell you why. Exactly. But let me tell you why that's relevant. Because you didn't make it with a foolish owner. The league were the de facto owners that had an obligation to look out for the league, not just the team. You have to know that if you Mitch Kupchak and Jim Buss and Jeannie Buss and them. And the fact that they weren't communicating well enough, which means they couldn't read the tea leaves, it compromised them. So you're saying, oh, now we're going to move forward and better times are ahead. I'm saying there was never a reason for the bad times to exist and get in the way of the basketball decisions.
Think about the point you're making.
They messed up for years and put this in. You were working radio in Los Angeles, which is why I let you go on with that. Come on now. You in L.A. How miserable were your times in L.A. talking about the Lakers? You gonna sit up there and mess up this franchise for years and years.
Only if they would have taken Okafor over D'Angelo
Because of your personal feelings. Because of your personal feelings. That's inexcusable, man. You don't put a city through what the Lakers put them through just because your siblings don't get along with each other. You don't do that.
Think about what you're saying. You're actually saying you're excoriating Jim Buss and Mitch Kupchak because the Jim Buss, because the deal he pulled off was so devastatingly excellent.
No.
He got the best player in the trade and saved $20 million.
Guys, we gotta go.
We gotta go.
He didn't have the soft enough touch with the league.
That's not what I say. Exactly.
Okay, but that's a very subtle
thing. You gotta work that relationship.
All right. Let's save it. To be continued. Can Darren Woodson help me paging him? Coming up next.
I'm at the 76ers game to sing the national anthem, and the organization is telling me that I can't because I'm wearing a We Matter jersey.
So there's that. The Sixers declined to say why her performance was canceled, saying only we use our games to bring people together, to build trust, and to strengthen our communities. Max, what's your reaction?
I find that a problematic statement from the Sixers. That's a problem for me. We matter is somehow divisive. We matter doesn't bring people together. I'm an American, and I'm a human being. And if a group of Americans, forget about ongoing oppression, people want to debate that, whatever. If a group of Americans are suffering the effects, the lasting effects of oppression in our history, I mean, that's indisputable. No one disputes that. If a group of Americans and people are suffering that, and a member of that group wears a shirt that says, "We matter," that somehow excludes me or is divisive or doesn't bring people together. The only people that alienates or doesn't bring together is people of bad faith and bad will. I fail to see in any way how the Sixers statement isn't controversial and offensive. I'm offended by it. I don't wear a "We Matter" shirt, no, and I'm not African American, and I'm not a woman. But if she wants to wear that, "We matter" is now a problem because it alienates people of bad faith who happen to be also paying customers. That's outrageous. I find that outrageous.
I find it outrageous that the Sixers had a problem, the specific problem that they had with it. What I don't find outrageous is their decision not to let her sing the national anthem. It's perfectly within their right to do so. And we have to put on our big boy pants and whatever else we wear and start accepting the reality of certain situations. Yes, you want to go there and sing the national anthem. It is entirely possible that the Sixers are saying, well, if we allowed that to happen, then we have to allow somebody wearing a shirt that Black Lives Matter to sing the national anthem. And we have to allow. No. I'm just saying, even though I would disagree with it, I wouldn't like it, rather, I would still respect their right to do that. I am an individual organization. The NBA is not a public industry. It's a private industry. They have the right, under the umbrella of the National Basketball Association, to enforce rules and regulations that they deem beneficial to their overall bottom line.
They don't have the right to do it.
I got it. I understand that. What I'm saying to you is that if they're sitting there and they're saying, we're going to eradicate any kind of political statement from being made in our venue at the singing of the national anthem, they have a right to do it. They have a right to do it.
Let me tell you why
they have a right to do it.
That argument fails because that's not the argument they made. If the Sixers' statement, I'm reacting to their statement, not just her saying they won't let me do it, was, look, social and political issues can be a slippery slope, the way the NFL doesn't let you even do a cancer awareness thing because who knows what the next statement will be. And we don't want... I could live with that. Okay, I could live with that.
But that's the point I was making.
That's the point you were making.
Right.
That's not the point they made. They didn't make the slippery slope argument. The argument they made is a shirt saying "We matter" is somehow divisive, alienates some people. And what I'm saying is
it does, though.
Forget those people. You are putting, look, I know a business is amoral, not immoral, amoral. It's not about morality. It's about making money. But in a league and with franchises that talk about how they care and they work with the community and all those things, I think you have to give a little more consideration, not only to the bottom line, but to occasionally doing the right thing. And they're pandering to people of bad will and bad faith if those people are alienated by a "We Matter" shirt.
You can say that. I disagree with that part. At the end of the day, if your bottom line is for patrons to come and enjoy the game and to make sure no political statements...
Then say that.
I'm just saying. They could have articulated their position better, but there is no question in my mind that they have not only do they have a right to do it, I can understand where they're coming from in terms of not wanting that to happen. You know how much of a privilege it is for any kind of artist to sing the national anthem at a venue. It's something that a lot of them clamor to do. So while you've gotten that opportunity to do so, I'm not saying that the young lady did anything wrong. I'm simply saying that if the Sixers sit up there and say, That's not something they want.
If they said love your neighbor, if they said love your neighbor, would that be bad?
Now they're going to have a dress code then to dictate artists what they can't wear.
You also have to take into consideration, we are talking about the city of Philadelphia, which is as blue collar as it gets, and you never know what level of fear comes attached with political statements being made if they find it disagreeable. If you are an organization that doesn't want to find yourself in the middle of that, and you are supported by a private industry that gives you the cachet and the muscle to take